Let's get right into it. Number 7. The city that sank twice. For centuries, the ancient Egyptian city of Thonis Heracleion was basically the Atlantis of the Nile Delta. Ancient texts said it was once a bustling trade hub full of temples, markets, and shady deals between Egyptian priests and Greek merchants. Then, poof, it vanished. Nobody knew if it was destroyed, buried, or if the whole thing was just ancient propaganda. Fast forward to the year 2000, when underwater archaeologists, yes, that's a real job, discovered massive stone blocks, statues of pharaohs, and entire temple complexes, sitting under 30 feet of water and mud in the Mediterranean. Turns out, the city didn't just sink once, it suffered a double whammy. About 1,200 years ago, a combination of earthquakes and something called soil liquefaction, basically the ground turning into quicksand, sent large parts of the city sliding into the sea. The survivors rebuilt. But then another disaster hit, and down it went again. This time, it stayed gone. What's wild is how well everything was preserved underwater. They've found coins, jewelry, ceremonial boats, even stone inscriptions complaining about ancient tax rates, because apparently, complaining about taxes is the one tradition humanity will never abandon. For centuries, scholars thought the city might have been exaggerated or misremembered. But now, thanks to these underwater excavations, we know it was real, it was huge, and it had one of the most dramatic disappearances in history. Twice. Makes you wonder how many other legends are just sitting under layers of mud, waiting to make some archaeologist's career. Number 6. The Mayan Mega Drought. For decades, historians puzzled over why the mighty Maya civilization, with its massive cities, astronomical knowledge, and endless supply of stone pyramids, suddenly collapsed around the 9th century. They didn't just vanish overnight, but city after city was abandoned, leaving behind eerie ruins swallowed by the jungle. Theories ranged from warfare to disease to aliens, because of course. But recent sediment core samples from lake beds in Central America finally gave us the smoking gun, a mega drought. And not just one bad dry season. We're talking about decades of dramatically reduced rainfall. Researchers found that during this period, rainfall dropped by up to 70% in some regions. Crops failed. Reservoirs dried up. Without water, city populations couldn't sustain themselves, leading to mass migrations and the eventual collapse of centralized power. What's especially haunting is that the Maya had advanced water management systems, reservoirs, canals, even underground cisterns. But when nature decided to turn the faucet off for decades, even their engineering genius wasn't enough. It's a reminder that no matter how powerful a civilization seems, it's still at the mercy of the climate. And in the Maya's case, the jungle didn't just reclaim their cities. It hid the evidence of their downfall for over 1,000 years. Number 5. The Roman concrete secret. Roman concrete is like the Chuck Norris of building materials. It's 2,000 years old, and many Roman harbors, aqueducts, and amphitheaters are still standing, while our modern stuff sometimes crumbles after 50 years. For centuries, scientists couldn't figure out why. Recently, a team studying ancient Roman harbor walls noticed something strange. The concrete had tiny white chunks in it, volcanic ash mixed with lime. At first, they thought it was sloppy mixing, but it turns out this was deliberate. Those chunks allow the concrete to self-heal when cracks form. When seawater seeps into a crack, it reacts with the lime and volcanic ash, forming new minerals that literally glue the concrete back together. In other words, Roman concrete doesn't just resist time. It repairs itself over time. Modern engineers are now trying to replicate this process, which could lead to concrete structures that last centuries instead of decades. So, yeah, the Romans weren't just building big for the bragging rights. They were using materials that put our best mixes to shame. The wildest part? The secret recipe was written down in some Roman texts all along, but historians never realized how critical those little white chunks were until now. Which means the Romans were basically screaming the answer at us for 2,000 years, and we just nodded politely and ignored them. Number 4. The Amazon's hidden cities. For years, archaeologists believed the Amazon rainforest was mostly home to small, scattered tribes, not large urban centers. The logic was simple. The soil was too poor for farming, and the dense jungle made it impossible to sustain big populations. But recently, laser mapping technology called LiDAR has blown that theory out of the water. When researchers scanned parts of the Bolivian Amazon from the air, they discovered massive earthworks, roads, and city layouts hidden under the canopy. We're talking entire city blocks, elevated causeways, and pyramid-like platforms, all swallowed by vegetation. These cities were part of the Kasarabe culture, which thrived between 500 and 1400 AD. The LiDAR scans revealed complex urban planning, irrigation systems, ceremonial plazas, defensive structures, the works. It wasn't just a few huts in the jungle, it was a full-on civilization. The reason nobody found them earlier? The jungle is like a green blanket that hides everything. From the ground, you'd never notice the perfectly straight roads or massive geometric layouts. But from the sky, and through the trees with laser tech, it's like someone peeled back the rainforest's skin and revealed a lost world. This discovery changes how we think about the Amazon entirely. It wasn't an untouched wilderness. It was a managed, inhabited, engineered environment. And its people were building cities we only just found out existed. Number 3. The Nazca Line's new neighbors. The Nazca Lines in Peru, those massive geoglyphs carved into the desert floor, have been baffling people since they were rediscovered in the 20th century. Giant animals, geometric shapes, even humanoid figures, all so big they're best seen from the air. For decades, everyone thought we'd found them all. But in 2022, archaeologists announced they'd discovered 168 new geoglyphs, hiding in plain sight. Some depict cats, snakes, birds, and even humanoid warriors. The reason we missed them? Many are faint and partially eroded, making them nearly invisible from the ground. But with drones and high-resolution imagery, researchers spotted them etched across the rocky desert. Some of these new lines are smaller and more detailed, suggesting they may have served different purposes, possibly markers for travelers, ritual spaces, or even territorial boundaries. What's fascinating is that the Nazca people didn't use heavy machinery. They simply scraped away the top layer of dark rock to reveal the lighter soil beneath. The dry climate preserved the designs for over 1,500 years. And now, with modern tech, we're realizing the Nazca lines aren't a finished chapter. They're a growing catalog. Who knows how many more are waiting for the right drone flyover to say, "Hey, we've been here the whole time." Number 2. The Viking Sunstone. Was real medieval sagas talked about Vikings using mysterious sunstones to navigate the seas, even when it was cloudy or foggy. Historians debated whether these were mythical artifacts or just poetic descriptions of good seamanship. Then archaeologists found one. In 2013, a crystal was recovered from a shipwreck off the coast of England. A 16th-century vessel likely linked to Norse trade routes. The crystal was calcite, also known as Iceland spar, and it has a wild property. It can polarize light. By holding it up to the sky and rotating it, sailors could detect the sun's position even when it was hidden. This would have been a game-changer in the North Atlantic, where weather can shift from sunny to fogged-in nightmare in minutes. Tests proved it worked. Even with the sun completely obscured, the crystal could locate it within a few degrees. This means Vikings may have had an optical navigation tool centuries before compasses reached northern Europe. So, the magic sunstone wasn't just a poetic metaphor. It was an actual piece of tech, hiding in the pages of old sagas and at the bottom of the sea, waiting to prove the legends right. Number 1. Stonehenge's stones finally speak. Stonehenge has been the poster child for ancient mystery for as long as people have been selling coffee table books. Who built it? Why? How did they drag those massive stones across miles of English countryside? And where did the stones even come from? That last question just got answered. Geochemical analysis revealed that most of the giant sarsen stones, the big ones in the outer ring, came from a site called West Woods, about 15 miles away. It's not exactly next door, but it's a lot closer than some wild theories suggested. This solves part of the mystery, but it also raises more questions. Moving multi-ton stones 15 miles without wheels or modern cranes is still insane. The leading theory is that they used wooden sledges and lubricated tracks, possibly greased with animal fat, which means, yes, Stonehenge might have been built on prehistoric bacon grease. We also now know that the stones were placed with incredible precision, aligning with solstices and lunar events, suggesting the builders had a deep understanding of astronomy. So while we still don't know the full purpose of Stonehenge, we at least know where its bones came from. And apparently, they had one heck of a moving crew. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.